joshura-p-warren.com. It's just my name. There's no period after the P at joshura-p-warren.com. So when you go to my website, you'll see a menu. And there's a little section called the Curiosity Shop. And sometimes I post interesting videos there, so people will go and they'll check out my Curiosity Shop. So if you go there and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see this 1-minute video that was shot weeks ago by an investigator here in Las Vegas named Steve Barone. And I call this the Vegas Tic Tac UFO. And I'm doing that because in 2004, when the Nimitz incident occurred, the Navy pilots said they saw this UFO that looked a lot like a Tic Tac. And so that's a term that's entered the lexicon. And so Steve Barone, whom I've known for quite a while now, I've been to his house numerous times, I've investigated with him. This guy, he's retired, and he goes out every night, and he sets up cameras on his deck that overlooks the entire Las Vegas Valley. And he was out there, again, this is weeks ago, and as he was filming, as you'll see in this video, there is this weird ball of light that appears. And, you know, we're talking about, and certainly Steve Barone, am very familiar with what an airplane looks like, a helicopter, a drone. I've studied strange images for, again, almost 30 years. I know what orbs are and all that kind of stuff. This is some kind of an interesting little ball of light, but as he is looking at the ball of light through his camera, suddenly this object goes zooming through from right to left, and he saw it with his naked eye on camera, but then he had to slow it down a little bit in his office so we could get a better look at it. And it looks like a nice, white, structured, call it a cigar. Again, Tic Tac is perfectly fine. But one of the most interesting things is it has this plume that's coming from the back of it that's clearly propelling it forward from right to left. Now, this is something that is a little harrowing, because you think to yourself, okay, if this were some kind of a man-made object, it would practically be a missile, and it's being fired right on the edge of this highly populated tourist attraction called Las Vegas, where it could hit a helicopter or an airplane or hit somebody's house or whatever. So, the military wouldn't be doing that right here. So I believe that this is another example of one of these genuine extraterrestrial/interdimensional objects that people are still capturing and still seeing right around here to this day. So there is something still serious about Area 51 and its relationship to studying and even back engineering these strange technologies.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. Preston Dennett was on my show last night, and he said that, from things he's heard, that, Area 51 goes down, I don't know how many stories, but he said that actually when you go down to the lower stories of Area 51, that it's controlled by aliens and stuff like that. Have you heard any rumors like that?
I have, and here's the thing. Okay, I'm in a good position because I'm very fond of saying, look, I've been self-employed since I was 18 years old. I don't work for any corporation. I don't work for any news operation or outfit. Nobody can fire me. Nobody tells me what to do. Even my own podcast that I do independently. I don't have commercials. I don't take sponsors. I like my independence. And so that said, I'm able to listen to a lot of different points of view, and I go out and I meet people face to face. Yeah, I'll sit down and have a beer with you, and I'll do whatever it takes to hear your story. And so I get to sort of gauge, using logic, how realistic some of these stories are and what the gossip in the community is. And my feeling is that if you go down to Area 51, and again, that's a very generic term because there are, many different parts of that facility, the Groom Lake facility. But if you go down there, I don't think that you're likely to see an alien at all. But there is one little section where they have some dead alien bodies and they have some captured craft. Now, I'm very familiar with the Roswell story. I've been to Roswell with the Discovery Channel, and I have done, I think, a very thorough investigation there. And the story goes that the crash from Roswell was probably taken to Wright-Patterson Airfield, and at some point, some living aliens met with President Eisenhower, and they made a pact, and part of the pact was we get to back-engineer their technology. Thus, we had the creation of what we call Area 51, and also that ominous final address by Eisenhower saying, "Beware the military-industrial complex." Okay, so I know that, and I know it so much we could talk for an hour about that. But my feeling is that there's just not enough evidence for us to make that leap, that actually is true in terms of there being such a relationship that we have aliens working at Area 51. Now, the Dulce, New Mexico thing, it also has gone to some strange controversy regarding the possibility of that. But from what I've personally heard, and listen, I've never been there. I have had some strange figures claiming to be with the government show up and ask me certain questions, and ask me if I'd be willing to be subcontracted to work on one thing or another, and I've said, yeah, I'm interested, but I guess they decided not to go with me. And so what I can tell you is I haven't been there, and so I can't tell you for a fact, but my feeling as an independent, objective researcher who gets here and talks to everybody, and I have friends in the military at very high levels, and I have friends who are just, again, your average guy who's a drunk on the street, and I talk to them all, and I listen to them all, and I don't think that it's operated by aliens. I think most of them are just regular people who live here in Las Vegas, who get up every day, and they go to the McCarran Airport, where you get on the Janet Terminal Airlines that are white planes with a red stripe, and they fly to Area 51 in the morning, and they work on spy planes and stuff like that, and they come back in the evening, and yet there is a section where we have a very small group of scientists who are working on alien technology and probably dead alien bodies, but I really don't think there are any living aliens running around there.
Yeah, well, you're right on that. I talk to a lot of people, too. I don't know if you know who Mary Joyce is. She runs a UFO reporting center in Cashiers, North Carolina.
I certainly do. I was born and raised in Asheville, North Carolina, right down the road from Cashiers, and I've even interviewed her myself on one of my programs. Nice lady.
An ex-reporter, editor for when they used to be newspapers. She told me off the side, and then she actually even said it on one of my shows. She's probably been on my show about 10 times in the past year. That she had somebody that was high up in the government. She checked out what she could check out on that person. And they claimed that it was an underground base in North Carolina, not too far from where she is, that they are back engineering, again, technology with aliens, supposedly, that are sharing their technology with our military. But she claims that what the information she got, these aliens are not friendly towards humans. They're cannibals. And, how that circulates, even back with Eisenhower, that they were supposed to, be able to donate a few human beings in return also. So you hear stuff like this, too. Have you heard anything?
Well, in North Carolina, one of the most famous sites is Brown Mountain, where we have the Brown Mountain Lights. And Brown Mountain does have a lot of caves. As a matter of fact, I probably know more about Brown Mountain than anybody else in the world. I own brownmountainlights.com. I was the guy hired to write the book on Brown Mountain by the Burke County Tourism Authority when they decided to finally start promoting this. And I've gotten to talk to forest rangers. I have gone up there and camped out for 15 years in that whole area around Cashiers and Highlands and Brown Mountain. I've taken physicists from the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. I took a bona fide rocket scientist. I took a geologist who works with the United Nations and camped with these people and got all the permits and everything for 15 years. And I believe that there is a natural phenomenon around western North Carolina that is of great interest to the U.S. military because that it produces very powerful plasmas. And plasmas, of course, being the fourth state of matter, can be used for non-lethal weaponry and propulsion and communications, and it has a lot of uses. And there are plenty of people who say they have also seen aliens and UFOs up there and been abducted. So my feeling is that when you have a place like Brown Mountain, which probably produces naturally a lot of fascinating energy fields and plasmas, this is something that also interests the aliens. Maybe they even use it to help them navigate. And therefore, I believe you have these human-alien interactions that occur there, but I swear, I just once again have not seen anything that felt right to me intuitively or seemed logical to me to think that around West North Carolina there is some kind of a collaboration between humans and military and aliens. I tend to think aliens are probably a little bit more like humans are toward squirrels. And what I mean by that is when I go walking through the woods, I don't try to beat the bushes and prove to every squirrel and rabbit that humans exist. I don't really care. If I interact with one once in a while, so be it. But I doubt there's one single cow on planet Earth that knows people eat cows. And so it is certainly possible that in some cases we are being cannibalized, but I don't think that there is enough evidence to believe that the government is collectively working on some endeavor to that degree of organization.
Okay, that's very well put. Now, also, she said the last time she was on my show that there's reports of, NATO troops in that area, constantly in an area. Have you heard about that?
Yes, there have been for many years all kinds of stories about the black helicopters, and I know that there have been sort of, shall we say, unidentified military men doing exercises in that area. And one of the easiest ways to know that is if you talk to some of the people who own restaurants in the area, sometimes they get contracts to go out and cater to these men. Because some of these are very remote areas, and so I've talked to a number of people who have owned restaurants who said, yeah, one day a full bird colonel came in here and said we want a contract to feed 500 men a day and don't ask any more questions. And they show up in the morning and they sign some papers and they drop off the food and everybody's happy, but they never see the men. But they're feeding somebody out there. And so, so yes, it is true. There are those types of exercises going on, and I think there are plenty of people who are probably being told not to discuss these things, and there may be survival tunnels and structures that are being put in place if there were to be an attack or something like a natural EMP that would shut down the grid. Those are more, I think, pressing risks than what we have from ETs. And I heard you say earlier in the program that you're not sure why we think that ETs would be kind to us when if they liked us, they could do all these wonderful things for us. But again, I think they're just sort of indifferent. That basically once in a while you have a particular ET or group of ETs, and that group's interests happen to align with a particular section of people, and at that point we say, oh, we're all nice to each other. But as soon as things change, well then, yeah, I mean, then we could be easily killed, and maybe sometimes we are, but if they wanted us all dead, then they could do that already, but we're probably kind of a big petri dish here, and our relationship with them is probably similar to the relationship that the natives had with people like Columbus or James Cook when they first encountered each other. Everything was all friendly for a while, and then finally the real truth and the real interest come out, and it turns to one group finally